Man, it's great to be on live TV working with some technical difficulties. So thank you guys and my fans out there for the one and only The Pull Up Podcast Show. It's your main man, the one and only Coach Tony, episode 119, season 1 right here. Tonight, we're going to discuss some things and some topics that I want you guys to get heavily involved with and make sure you ask a lot of questions. But before we get started, make sure you like us, make sure you share with your friends, and more importantly, subscribe to the show. We are working our way towards big numbers, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And we give you quarter by quarter of sports information. But before we talk about what we're going to do tonight, Val, you know what to do. Drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.
Man, welcome to the first quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only, your main man, the one and only Coach Tony. Excuse me. Tonight, we are going to talk about a lot of hot topics that everyone has been discussing in terms of the world of the WNBA. And I want you guys to get heavily involved. Had a wonderful opportunity this weekend to spend some time back home in Chicago, seeing my beloved Chicago Sky. I loved all the male support. Man, it was awesome to see that. And Angel Reese and these guys fell a little short against A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. But, you know, to see everyone in the house tonight, Thursday night with the Chicago Sky was absolutely awesome. Tonight, we're going to discuss a couple of things. One, we're going to talk about rookie versus rookie. So I want you to think about this topic tonight as we get a chance to discuss. What is your best rookie versus rookie situation? Now, let me give you a couple pieces of criteria. Hype. We're going to talk about that. Scoring, media, fans, all-star, right? I want to know, was the hype around those rookies? Were they scoring the basketball, or were they putting up different situations? We're going to talk about these two rookies that are blazing the entire country, and none other than Iowa's Caitlin Clark, who's at the Indiana Fever, and LSU's Angel Reese, Miss Black Barbie of the Chicago Sky. And these two young women have been doing some incredible things. And then later on, we're going to bring on and talk about the GOATs of the game. We're going to talk about how basketball in the WNBA has transformed. And are these women really getting their just due? And we're going to talk about some stats, and it's going to blow your mind. We're going to talk about the great Cynthia Cooper back when she won 4 rings. Talk about Lisa Leslie at the time that she was coming through the league and trying to do some things. So tonight's going to be very, very interesting. The other situation is we're going to bring my girl on tonight with me, my co-host, none other than Interludes Talk on Tuesday, the one and only Val, the voice, to help me discuss this show tonight. But I really want to know from you guys. Tune in, make sure you ask these questions tonight so I can answer them. We've talked about the world of sports and everything that's building around women's basketball in particular. We know that the soccer is soccer, and it's very, very huge in terms of the world numbers. But women's basketball is quickly becoming one of the most favorite sports, especially here in the United States, and is led by 2 women, Caitlin Clark of Indiana Fever and Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky. Now, both of these women are, when I say in a marathon race to the end, but we're going to talk about a few women who I think that could possibly steal the show, or maybe not getting their flowers, and they are playing their butts off right now throughout the WNBA. Once again, this is the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only Coach Tony. Make sure you like us, subscribe, and share this show with your friends. Now, let's talk a little bit about the situation with these 2 rookies. Caitlin Clark, the hype behind everything was She was getting pushed around, getting knocked to the ground. Some of my own guys even gave me some elbows about, liking what she's doing. And then Angel Reese, some of these guys saying that she's got the mouth, she would do much better. She just be quiet. But, we remember a little small guy that became the greatest of all time, had the biggest mouth in the world by the name of Michael Jordan. And he never shut up. He was one of the biggest trash talkers in the game. And we know how his career ended up, right? 6 rings, all-time greatest player in the history of NBA, and obviously the GOAT within himself. So these young women right now are tearing up this court. They are bringing, when I say the luxury of money, prestige, revenue to the league. These 2 young women came in with a heavy burden on both of their backs. Obviously, with Caitlin Clark coming out of the University of Iowa, carrying a heavy burden, becoming the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history, and then moving on to the Indiana Fever as the #1 NBA draft, and only got a contract of roughly around $80,000. And we're going to talk about that a little later when we start to kind of compare some things. Angel Reese came out of LSU. She had the opportunity to be a national championship winner, which is something that Caitlin Clark did not get the opportunity to see at the college level, but was very, very competitive in nature. And then the second year, obviously, Caitlin Clark got an opportunity to knock off Angel Reese, put her out, send her home early, but then ended up exiting the tournament early herself by Don Staley's crew and what they did with Cardosa and crew. So now you've got these 2 young women. They are in the WNBA. They are playing in the same conference. They've already met each other 3 times this season, with Indiana got the best of it up 2-1. Now, we know that these young women has been hit, shoved, pushed, and whatever else you can think. But my question to you is, are they the only rookies that are receiving this treatment? Or are there others that are getting hit, shoved, pushed down, and maybe not say anything? Or is the media covering both of these young women, and they just make you believe that, hey, everything is worse than what it actually looked? Now, let me give you my opinion. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, the one thing I do love and respect about her is that she's leading by example. When I say that, meaning she's quiet. Now, you can call it the great rookie, the whatever else you want to put with it, stereotypical of this young lady doing some absolutely phenomenal things. Is she getting some calls? Possibly. Is she not getting some calls? Possibly. So it's a 50-50 with me. I think that she's getting knocked down and shoved. It's part of the game. Welcome to the league. Every rookie that I know, basketball, football, even baseball, getting hit with a ball. You got to go through your dues, and then you kind of get that respect. What I like about Caitlin Clark is that she's gotten all the knockdowns and all the tough situations, and she's continued to move forward. When they asked her about the dirty play that happened early in the season when she was tripped by by Thomas out of Connecticut, she was like, "Hey, it's just a play. She stuck her knee out. I ran into it. Yada yada yada." But then Thomas comes right back a week later and then clotheslines Angel Reese, and it blows up. Right now, that was a dirty play. I don't care who you are, and I don't care where you're from. In any basketball court, that was a dirty play. But Thomas didn't get, she got a slap on her wrist and move forward. Was it a welcome to the league, Angel Reese? Possibly. But you've got to ask yourself, are there other rookies? Because you've got Cameron Brink, who's at the Los Angeles Sparks. You've got Katie Martin, who's also a post player. And then you got Ricky Jackson, who's always showing up. We're going to talk about their stats as well. But you got to look at it. When I see these 2 young women that they're continually talking about, they're playing 2 different positions. You got Caitlin Clark that is playing a shooting guard / point guard position. So she's got the ball in her hand 80 to 90% of the time, right? She's kind of the Steph Curry of the WNBA. She can shoot it. She can handle the basketball. She can drop off assists, and she gives her share of rebound, right? So when a lot of people are talking about what she's doing, how she's doing it, they continue to forget the little things that she is doing, right? Aaliyah Boston, her average is up this year. She's scoring more points. Why? Because Caitlin Clark is able to get her the basketball, where last year she wasn't able to do that. And Indiana struggled. Right now, they've made more wins. They got 6 more wins than they had last year, which is huge. And we haven't even come to the All-Star game of the WNBA. Now, Angel Reese, she steps into a situation where Chicago's already had the limelight, right? Just a few years ago with my girl, the one and only, Candace Parker, we won it all, the WNBA. Chicago Sky brought home a ring. Candace Parker brought home a wing back to Chicago and bounced to LA. And now she's retired to the booth. Hail to the queen, right? But now it's Angel Reese's time to take over. And now you're in a city like Chicago. Big shoulders, baby. You got to give it up. You can't have a attitude. You can't have weak heart, not in the city of Chicago. Because like in New York, if you're playing bad, they're going to let you know about it. If you're not playing good, they want you out of here. And if you can't perform, they want you traded. So they're going to let you know, whether it's in the streets, whether it's in the stands, or whether they boo you or they cheer for you. Chicago fans are always going to be those tough fans. So Angel Reese right now leads the entire WNBA in double-doubles. Let me repeat myself. She leads the entire WNBA in double-doubles. Not only that, this young lady right there, as they call the Black Barbie doll, she just set a rookie WNBA record with 11 straight double-doubles to break Candace Parker's record of 10. So when I say she's doing something, boom, that's huge, absolutely huge in terms of what she's doing. Now, I think that after watching them this past Thursday, because I went to the game, saw Las Vegas come to town, A'ja Wilson put it on them. Now, what I can say is A'ja opened up at 25 points, 23 points at halftime, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, couple block shots. They held her 7 points in the second half. She finished like 33 points. But my question was to the team was like, wow, you hold her to 7 points in the second half, but she killed you in the first half and they lose by 12. So kind of like if you'd have woke up, played some ball early on, who knows? And it was that was a very physical game. And for those of you that have not watched the WNBA, who have not tuned in to support these women, let me tell you something. Wintrust Arena, which is the arena that the Chicago Sky plays in, it's downtown Chicago, just a little bit on the south side, on the South Loop area of the city. Holds about 14,000, home of the DePaul Blue Demons, Division I in the Big East. So, of course, they got UConn and Boston College and got Villanova, Seton Hall, guys like that coming in. And these guys have already sold out every single game. Do you hear me? Every single game that Indiana Fever has come to town. They've also sold out multiple other games that teams have come to town. And this past weekend, they probably had about 8,000 in the stands of 13. So about 4,000 or 5,000 less of being a sellout, but it was against the Las Vegas Aces. And the Las Vegas Aces is not really a direct competitor or rival for us, right? We know it's Angel and Caitlin. That's our rival, right down 65, baby, going to Naptown. We already know that. So we know, but to see these men in the audience, see them in the stands, cheering for these young women, cheering for their daughters, their nieces, their cousins. Man, it was absolutely awesome to see them bring their sons to the game to enjoy, their daughters to the game. Man, it was absolutely awesome. So those questions I want us to make sure that we answer tonight. So you make sure you pull up on me tonight, again, on the Pull Up Podcast show. right? We're going to talk about these topics with the Chicago Sky and with the Indiana Fever with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. We'll be back. We're going to pay some bills real quick. We will be back in the second quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show with your main man, the one and only Coach Tony. Val, let's pay some bills. Hey, it's your main man, right back at you. Coming live here from the Rise Studios. And it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting your airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure, if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me, because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah. That right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities to get paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show with who? Your main man. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast Show with your boy, the one and only Coach Tony. I'm going to bring my co-host of Interludes Talk on Tuesday so I can get a female perspective, and we're going to bring those questions in. It's the one and only Val, the voice, as she joins the show tonight. We're going to talk about these topics on Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, the WNBA, how they get paid. Let's go.
Hey, Coach.
Val, the voice. Thank you for joining me on the Pull Up Podcast Show tonight, girl. What's happening?
I'm pushing buttons. How you doing?
Man, I am awesome. I am awesome. Thank you for joining in. We're talking a little bit, and I want to have a female perspective on here tonight because we're talking about these young women of the WNBA, and we're talking about how the treatment of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, is compared to the other rookies. Because, obviously, like you and I watched a few months ago, there was obviously a draft, right? And there was obviously more than two people that went to the WNBA. But if you look at TV, you would assume that these are the greatest or the best two rookies that are here. And I'm going to give you some stats in a moment to show you that they're not. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, here's my take on some things. I feel like they have given the WNBA excitement beyond what has been said. I don't think I've ever seen or watched a WNBA draft, but I did this year. I don't think I've seen the games on television, but now I'm looking to purchase tickets to see a game in person and make my way down to the Wintrust Theater on the south side of Chicago.
Right.
So definitely the interest has been sparked, and we were both on the phone, and I was looking at tickets between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. The lowest ticket is $225.
Oh, let's stop right there. If you listen to what she just said, we're talking about a WNBA game, not an NBA game. We're not talking about going to see LeBron and Bronny next year, where the ticket's going to probably be $1,000. We're talking about the WNBA game, and a minimum ticket to see these two women face off started at about $250.
Yeah.
Woo. And then I think that you were looking at one of the tickets that sold out, and if you wanted to buy a ticket immediately, it was close to about $4,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's the one between Chicago Sky and the New York Liberty. So all of my folks there in Brooklyn, they play the Liberty at the Barclays Center, where it's way down the street where I used to live in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. So I am excited for what Reese and Clark has done for the game, the overall game of the basketball, women's basketball. Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's rewind that ticket. We're talking about 200 and something to see him in the shot, but 4 stacks to see him in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute. Hey, I think I'm about to, that may be the mayor. I'm about to call Mayor Eric up there in New York. Like, dog, what you doing, man? Share a little bit of the wealth. But hey, what people don't get is that you get Breonna Stewart and Isiona in New York at their best. They're the number 2 team in the WNBA. That ticket is hot. And people want to see Angel Reese. That ticket is hot. The garden, as they say, the garden's going to be packed in Madison Square. It's going to be absolutely insane. And I guarantee you, Spike Lee will be in the house. I guarantee you have a slew of the New York Knicks in the house, including Carmelo Anthony and his homeboys. Dwayne Wade probably be there. He's a big supporter of the WNBA. I mean, that logo, as they call it now, the W, is getting absolutely incredible. Now, the one thing that amazed me, Val, about this game on Thursday was, even though they considered it a packed crowd and it cost me a few $100 to get a couple tickets, I was still amazed that there's about 8,500, 9,000 in the stands in a 13,000 packed arena. And they just call that an off night. And some of the teams will be glad. Some NBA teams will be glad to get 8,000 or 9,000 in the arena some night.
Yeah, and I see that you took this shot of Angel Reese. I guess they were either warming up or this was just before the game.
Yep, we were warming up before the game, and they were having a little fun. And I got a great shot. She was facing me. I was like, yeah, let me get that.
And here's the real question: who won that night?
For promotional purposes only, I got a little mad.
Here we go. What happened?
For promotionals, the spread was 11. And so, all I had to do was get it to 11, and they lost by 12. But let me tell you some reason why I got upset. I got upset because even though they were down by 12, with 40 seconds on the clock, and the game is almost over.
Okay.
Chicago Sky gets the basketball, Val, and they walk it into the forecourt. We call it the forecourt or the front court. They walk into the front court, and the young lady dribbles the ball out. I was pissed. Why?
Wow.
Because the Vegas was already up by 12. And if they would have just went to the hole to lay the ball up, the game was out of reach. They weren't going to stop them. You know what I mean? They probably would have gave the layup. But she dribbled the ball out, took a 24-second violation. Obviously, Las Vegas inbound the ball and held on to it. And instead of me winning, I lost by 1.
Oh man, you've been really good about.
but the cool part about everything was Angel Reese picked up another double-double in that game.
All right, and for some of us like myself, to explain what a double-double means, what is that? Because I see that TNG in the chat kind of straightened me out a little bit.
What's up, baby?
Yeah. He said 10, not 11. And
My bad.
10 and 10 consecutive double-doubles, which means
right. So in other words, Candace Parker had the lead, and then Angel just surpassed her. So what a double-double is meaning that a player will average double figures in 2 categories. There are really 5 categories that they kind of look at, and that is points, rebound, assists, steals, and blocks, in those categories. Someone like Wilt Chamberlain averaged about 10 blocks a game, even though he averaged 30-some points or whatever. He didn't have to get the other 2 as long as it was 2 separate categories. Well, okay. Angel Reese, if it wasn't until 42 seconds last night when she missed that daggone free throw and had to split it, or the night before last and split it, and she got that last free throw with about 40 seconds on the clock, she may not have picked it up. but I was glad to see her. Her mama couldn't watch it. She's sitting there with her hands over her face. It was real cool. So, and just to see, like in Chicago, Lorenz Tate, give it up to my boy from Southside, Lorenz Tate, doing his thing here. And he and his boys is in the house, and some other stars is in the house. And it was just awesome, again, Val, to see the representation of these men in the house supporting these young ladies. It was great.
Yeah. And I think it's making many of us, I want to call it, just proud. And I think that's what it is for us Chicagoans, to just be proud of what the excitement that Reese is bringing to the WNBA and what's coming and bringing to Chicago, because that's, as we talk about it, the excitement that's surrounding them both. I want to call it, that's jobs, that's industry, that's more money for the league, more money for their teams, and more money for, and for anyone that's a diehard fan of the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, that's more merch like
More
crazy,
merch.
cards.
And let me tell you something. It was out. We went to buy a T-shirt, Val, $46 on the T-shirt.
Okay.
And that was the smallest thing that you could buy, were the T-shirts at $46. Now, there was a couple of T-shirts that you can get around 36, 37. There was some hats about 39. But the merch is going for about the same price as the NBA. And to the point you just made a moment ago was spot on. We haven't had a winning team at home in a while, because the Bulls, obviously, what's going on there. We're working on it. But I like the Bulls, how they give, like Derrick Rose and Ayo Demisu, some big-time Chicago homebred. We just drafted again, Val, young man out of Hinsdale High School, to the Chicago Bulls. So I love how they do that and keep the homebred home when they have the opportunity to. But right now, the Chicago Sky in the Chicago Cubs, needless for me to say, I'm a White Sox guy, but they are holding up the city right now. And the Bears are struggling. The Bulls are struggling. The Sox are definitely struggling. And the Blackhawks are on their way back. But to see the women's basketball, the second best team in the city of Chicago right now, is crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, that type of movement and excitement that happens, I was actually looking on Instagram and I saw you mentioned Lorenz Tate. Now, I love Lorenz Tate based on all the work he's done on Power, as well as our favorite film, Love Jones. But yes. Yeah, I went on his IG and found his picture. He had someone shoot him at the game, which was about 3 or 4 days ago. So we will come out and support our teams. It's as simple as that. And I love the diehardness of a Spike Lee. No matter how bad the Knicks lose, he is there front row and center. It's that type of support. That type of support is what keeps the energy up for these players. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the franchise. I mean, just think, it was the first time the rematch with the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks since Reggie was there at that time in the quarterfinals of the NBA. The winner goes to play the Boston Celtics, and Reggie Miller showed up. You know what I'm saying? Mark Jackson showed up. John Stockton showed up. John Starks showed up. I mean, all these guys were in that game 15, 20 years ago, and they showed up for the Knicks game. They sit down there with Spike Lee, and Spike, Spike's gonna be Spike. He got the gear, and for all these years, he only wear Jordans to the game. That's what's so crazy. I don't wear them Jordans.
Well, that's because of the commercial, the Mars Blackman commercial he did, and that, I guess, he was just out of grad school at NYU and had just done one short film. Somebody cut heads, and then he was working on his first feature film around that time. But yeah.
Yep. And he just got the character. Mars Blackman would sit on his shoulder. Him and Michael Jordan. It must be the shoes. Money must be the shoes. So if you haven't seen that commercial, please Google it. It's one of the funniest commercials. But before we take a break, let me just show you we talked about it earlier, just where these young women are. And I want to make sure that people understand the power of where these two young women lay right now. Through the first half of the season, right before we take the break into the All-Star game and into the Olympics, they played about 17 to 20 games. The Indiana Fever right now is 8-12. They sit just above the Chicago Sky at 7-11. And it's interesting. But Cameron Brink, who's the number 3 draft pick, number 2 draft pick, she has now got the best overall scoring average in the WNBA, averaging about 9 points, 8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, a couple
She's
of
with
steals.
Los Angeles. She's with Los
She's
Angeles.
with the Los Angeles Sparks, right. They've got Angel Reese as number 2. She's, of course, averaging 10 double-doubles right now at 13 and 10 with 2 blocks. And she's shooting 30% from 3, which is amazing because Caitlin Clark sits number 3 right now with 16.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, but she's only shooting 30 from 3. So Angel Reese is shooting just as well as Caitlin Clark from 3, Val, which is insane. It's a post versus a guard. You know, it's like I'll play in the block, but I can step out, and this is what you do for a living and shoot the ball. And then you got a young lady that no one ever talks about from Vegas, and I told everybody this girl from Utah was going to be a huge player, and that's Kate Martin. She's also in LA right now, averaging 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists a game. And then my homegirl right here, shout out to my man Albert Hainsworth and his family and all of that. His close cat is Miss Rakia Jackson from the University of Tennessee. She's also at LA Sparks. So the Sparks are loaded. And when I say loaded, they'll be making a move in the next couple of years, like Chicago, to come up. And she's averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, shooting 40% behind the arc right now. So if you ain't watching the WNBA game, you must be home sleeping.
Well, we want folks to wake up and not do that.
Exactly. Well,
and TNG said Cameron Brink is out for the season with an injury, unfortunately.
Yes,
no.
Exactly. So to have her out with that injury right now as a rookie, so now you probably gonna have Angel Reese now move up that ladder to number 1, and Caitlin Clark's right behind her, the number 2, and then probably Fuwali will fall into number 6. Now she'll move to number 5. You now have got these 2 women that we've been talking about, Val, is probably headed to the end of the season for probably NBA Rookie of the Year. And if you're listening tonight, TNG, let me know, man, who is your WNBA Rookie of the Year after it's all said and done? And for that, hey, we're going to be right back. It's halftime right now. You listen to Coach Tony and my host, Val the Voice Johnson, on the Pull Up Podcast Show. We're going to pay some bills at halftime. I need to talk to my players. We got to win this game. We'll be right back.
I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning.
There you go.
So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol?
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She's ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I thought about, writing a book myself called My Man's in Them. But,
I love it.
and look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in them. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped. Hey, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show, where we give it to you quarter by quarter sports information. It's me, the one and only Coach Tony, and here to my left is my main girl, the one and only Val the Voice. hanging in every night from Interludes Talk on Tuesday. I appreciate you, Val. Hey, we're gonna get into this. Now let's change it a little bit. We're gonna talk about the vets and the goats of the game. I want to hear from TNG. I really want to know your opinion about this too. You out there tonight, Springer, what's going on with my guys as well? But the true GOAT in this game, to me, true GOAT, which we call the Michael Jordan of women's basketball, is none other than the one person that I've got one of the most respect in the game. And until someone shows me differently, it'll never change, kind of like my love for Jordan. It's Cynthia Cooper. Cynthia Cooper played for the Houston Comets back in 97, 98, 99. Through her tenure there, 4 straight titles. It's never been repeated again, ever been repeated again in the WNBA. Not only that, Cynthia Cooper remains to this very day the league leading scorer. There's no one surpassed her. She averaged 23.5 points a game from the first 5 seasons in the league, and that has never been done again. And no one's done that up until this 2024. So that goes to show you, no different than Jordan. No one surpassed Jordan's numbers in terms of what he averaged throughout the year. LeBron's been great, but no one surpassed those numbers just yet. Steph Curry's been close. But, I want to know from you guys, looking back in the past, and like we're talking about with Angel Reese and with Caitlin Clark, what's the 2 most pronounced rookie duels that you witnessed, NBA or WNBA? For me, in the WNBA, Val, has to be none other than Cynthia Cooper's time in the league when she was constructing what is now going to be the WNBA as we see today. But it was Cynthia Cooper, and at that time, Lisa Leslie. Now, what I liked about that, it is almost identical to what we're looking at today. Cynthia Cooper guard, Lisa Leslie a post. Caitlin Clark guard, Angel Reese in the post. So, and they both were phenomenal. And what people don't know and didn't realize, that Lisa Leslie ended up being the first WNBA female to dunk in a WNBA game.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: I was looking up salaries for some of these very prestigious and top players. Lisa Leslie, most famously, because I'm a movie head. I love the movie Love and Basketball.
Oh,
and so at the very end, when
and Uncle Drew, she was in Uncle Drew.
Okay, there you go, Uncle Drew. There you go. But the one thing that I remember, Lisa Leslie was at the very end of Love and Basketball, in her LA Sparks outfit, playing alongside of Sanaa Lathan's fictitious character of Monica.
Right.
And the great thing about that was, because of the journey of the movie, it was the possibility of not having to play overseas, but that women who love basketball to the point where they want to play it professionally could play it here in the States. And to see Lisa Leslie just kind of represent, how many championships did Lisa win with the Spark? With
2 right there that you see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go. So yeah, she to me was kind of the face of the league for the WNBA for a very long time in my eyes.
Quite some time. Yeah. She to me, even though she didn't do what Cynthia Cooper did, she was a bigger face of the league than Cynthia Cooper. You're exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Right, and because
so
I said
was more quiet and laid back, she wasn't that out. But Cooper, I'm telling you, for those of you that haven't seen Coop, we call her, when I say she was the Jordan, if you go back in that 97, late 90s, early 2000s, watch Cynthia Cooper play, oh my goodness. She could step on the court today and kill.
Oh my gosh. But like I said, it's just important. Now, let me go back to Cynthia. Now, Cynthia, when I looked up her salary, and we're talking 97, 98, her
Correct.
salary, Coach Tony, was about 76, maybe 75, 76,000 a year. And at the time, considered being paid the most for a WNBA player. this is 97, 98. What now is the annual salary of WNBA players right now?
Right at 80,000. So you mean to tell me it takes 25 years, right? 'Cause we're in the 25th year of the WNBA, of the new branded WNBA, because Coop and all of them played in a WNBA, but the new branded WNBA is 25 years old. And you mean to tell me that the women are only worth a $5,000 raise? That's 5,000 is what? It's about $100 a year or $1,000 a year.
Well, here's the thing. Where's the money going? Like I said, I tried to get a ticket for the Chicago Sky as well as the Indiana Fever. And the cheapest ticket was $225. The highest ticket was $4,000.
Right.
There were seats that were there, but not that many. Now I looked at other Chicago Sky, in town games. They did start as low as $29. Not that many left, but it was at as low as $29. But
or you can get stand up and stand up all night.
And stand up all night. And then of course the game, I was looking to go, I could go back to my second home, Brooklyn, and see Chicago would play against the New York Liberty. Forget that. I went to Ticketmaster to get the tickets. They were like, there are none. And if you would like to get one, we're going to start at $4,000.
Right.
$4,000. Where's that money going?
Now let me give it to you. I'm gonna put it to you in another way, back.
Okay.
The women of the new WNBA right now are playing in arenas. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some of these women have their own arena, like Atlanta, the Dream, right? Vegas.
Okay.
Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, and some of these older players, they didn't get an opportunity to play in the arenas they wanted to. Some of these playing in the low-line municipal auditoriums that were run down in those cities at that time. And you got to remember, in 97, 98, what overshadowed how good Cynthia Cooper and what Lisa Leslie was doing? What overshadowed them at that time?
The NBA.
Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. We was on that stretch of those last two rings we won for Mike, had farewell tour. So because no one gave a damn about the WNBA because they were focused on Jordan, whether he's going to retire, not retire, and what he was doing. Once the NBA was over, the TV went on. The hype wasn't around the WNBA. It was basketball junkies like myself watching them and, was amazed because this female in Cynthia Cooper was giving people Jordan-like numbers and doing things that you hadn't seen a female basketball player do.
No.
But what makes me mad is around that time, I think if you look up at Kobe's coming in around that time. I want to say Kobe's salary as a rookie was somewhere around $3.5, $4 million, maybe $5 million at that time. And he made about, 15, 20 in a career. And now you have, the rookie salaries for the NBA is skyrocketed. And these women are only making roughly another $5,000 or $6,000, Val, 25 years later.
Yeah. And
if somebody can't look at that, that's something that me and you need to put on a billboard, blast it across a podcast, send that stat to the WNBA, send that stat to the White House. Because if no one's looked at that, man, I don't know what they're looking at.
And give me the salary again, not the salary, but give me what was Kobe Bryant's rookie salary when he first came to the NBA. I'm curious to know.
I think if you look it up, I want to say it was the rookie minimum at that time was around $3.5 million, give or take $3.5, $4 million for three. So in other words, if they signed for all the NBA rookies play for 3 years, $3.5 salary, they would make somewhere in the ballpark about $8-9 million when it was all said and done over their 3 years, and they could re-up their salary. Then if they were a top 5 draft pick, they could sign for more money. Kobe signed for more money, obviously, but he was picked up by Charlotte Hornets. Not the biggest pickup at the time he was coming in because they didn't know coming out of Lower Merion High School in Philly if he's going to be the player he turned out to be. And then obviously, Charlotte Hornets made the biggest mistake in their life and traded him to LA no different than Portland Trailblazers made the biggest mistake in their life and traded Michael Jordan from Portland to Chicago. So,
Right.
the rest is history. So when you're looking at that, and then these guys are going on where you're now seeing LeBron James. I'll give it to you better than that. Me and this dude was in the store Saturday, and I was out in Oak Brook. And I walked around Oak Brook, and the TV was on, and I was killing some time. And a commercial came on ESPN, and across the bottom it said, Paul George is ready to re-sign. And for those that don't know, you should. Paul George played with the Los Angeles Clippers. But they said Paul George is ready to re-sign a deal for 4 years that's roughly about $154 million. We're like, what? And we're like, he's at the end of his career, and he's about to sign over. If these guys, Val, are signing Andre Drummond, who is basically done career-wise, he just signed a one-year deal for $10.5 million. 1 year. 1 year. So his salary is probably worth an entire team in the WNBA.
You know what? That kind of boggles my mind, because I'm thinking, like, the NBA had something to do with the WNBA starting. Is that correct? I feel like it is.
They did, and then they bumped heads for several years. They bumped heads, and the NBA was going to pull out, and the WNBA almost fell. They were going to fall hard in their face, and then all of a sudden, corporations stepped in, a lot of sponsorship stepped in, and made the game great again. So, again, like you just showed Paul George, great. I love PG. PG, one of the best players. But on the backside of his career, it took Michael Jordan. Let's just make sense of this. It took Michael Jordan to the last 2 to 3 years of his contract to make $25 million a year, because the Bulls knew that they underpaid him. And he was making his money from Jordans and Nike. So they knew he had a 13-year deal with Nike before those brands became the Jordans. That's why they're the Jumpmans right now, not Nike on them. But it took him to the end of his career to get paid. But now you're talking to these superstars. If you're not coming with plus 35, 40 million, don't call my phone.
I think if you remember, Jordan signed a deal early on in his career, and I feel like he didn't get paid from the Bulls until after winning 3 championships. Exactly, at the end of his career. So I feel like a lot of players are just kind of mimicking that same deal, because that's wear and tear on your body, your knees, your ankles, your feet. You're away from your house anywhere from, I don't know, 6 to 8 months out of the year traveling. Yep. So a lot of these players, both men and women, sacrifice a lot to entertain us, the consumer. And so my deal is that however much you can get, have your agents and folks negotiate that. And in the case of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, it's a matter of them making the money on the sponsorship side, probably not from the WNBA, but more so on the sponsorship side. And then but the two of them, since they know they're being watched and being revered or loved or hated, however you want to say it, to keep their sponsorship deals, they'll have to watch what they say and what they do on and off the court.
And with that point, I definitely want to jump into that heavy. We're going to take our last break of the day. I got to go in here and yell at these players. Val got to pay my last bills. And we'll be right back in the fourth quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show with Coach Tony and my host tonight, one and only Val, the Voice Johnson.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAT. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Welcome back as we head down the stretch in the fourth quarter of the Pull Up Podcast show with the one and only Coach Tony and my girl to my left, Val, the voice Johnson. TNG, don't go nowhere. And you guys out there, thanks for watching tonight. Make sure you dump these questions. I really want to hear your opinion as we wrap up, jump in the fourth quarter. Mark, what's up, baby? You know you always got something to say. I want to hear what you're talking about tonight because Val got it on the table. Here's this fourth quarter discussion that I want to have. One, we already know it's lopsided, Val, right? The have and the have-nots. We already know that, right? We see that. But here's my question. How can the men's salary, right, since Jordan came out of the Bulls in 99 to 2025, escalate and go through the roof? But the women, since Lisa Leslie and since Cynthia Cooper retired, remain stagnant with very little movement. And the game is more watched now, more pronounced now. You got more girls playing the sport of basketball than ever have in the history of the basketball. And it's going to get even bigger, Val. I'm telling you right now, you take my word, women's basketball is ready to explode. But you said a key thing earlier, and that was the women no longer have to go overseas to play because of what's happening with NIL. So this is nothing that at the WNBA level. This is why you're going to see the resurgence, in my opinion, with women's basketball. So let me ask you a question, Val. Do you know the age limit that the women can go to the pros as opposed to the men in college?
I feel like the age limit for the women is probably 19.
And the men?
17.
So you almost had it right. The men can go to the pros at 19, 1 year removed from high school. Women cannot turn pro until 21. They can't go to their junior year. So I would love to see that rule change because it's basketball. If you're going to allow these men to go one and done, right, and they could either jump out and go to the G League or go overseas or whatever it is and then come back to the NBA, why not have the women go 2 years removed? You know, and all that. And I get it. They want to protect them. They want to make sure they're 21 years of age. But usually, Val, you know as well as I do, usually 9 out of 10 times, women are more responsible than men. I'm just tooting some horn, but I'm just saying they're usually more responsible. So when you're looking at that and you're looking, like you said, at these sponsors that are coming in, if the WNBA continues on its path and the NBA continues to support, and they come in, I mean, Val, they got sponsorship from Chase, American Express, PGA Golf. All these people are doing these commercials. Bridgestone, Mercedes, you know, you name it, Land Rover. They have got to continue to put the game out there, and they've got to continue to push the pedal to the floor because the NIL game at the college level, to me, is going to be the money maker for the young women that are going to play the WNBA. Let me say this one more time before you guys knock me down and start sending me these tweets. The WNBA, unless these young women can get the support of these major corporations, college basketball for women will be the paycheck for these young girls. And the reason why is that everyone from the person who manages to the person who's washing socks can get paid in college on an NIL deal. So if I happen to know, let's say, for example, company X says, hey, Tony, I saw Valerie, she played for you, and I really like her, and I like what she's been doing with those glasses she wears. We want to cut her a deal. Every time she wears one of my glasses, we'll pay her $3,000 a month. Okay, let's do the numbers. She's looking at about 36 to 40 grand a year. Take out 20%, which is usually what she's got to pay for the agent to represent her. So she's giving up about 7 grand, 7,500,000, and she's walking away from the table about $27,000, $28,000. Huh, okay. Wow. I'm in college making 28 grand playing a sport. That's wonderful. Or no different than what I was telling you beforehand, like some of these guys. Right. These kids, and we've had, you know, not to give up any names, people have been on the show and this and that I've talked to, but some of these kids, i.e. Bronny James, they're making millions, Val, right now on NIL deals in college. And I'm talking about Nike, Adidas, Beats by Dr. Dre, State Farm, Gatorade, Under Armour, Body Armor. I can continue to go on and on and on. It is insane. And because of what's going on with the NCAA, it's going to get even bigger.
Yeah, it's gonna keep going. And I put your comment at here, and I think Mark said particularly with super conferences that go from the West to the East. But
Correct.
just to capture what you stated, college basketball will be the paycheck for the women's basketball instead of the WNBA if the salaries remain the same. Is that about right?
It's about right, because you're going to have to look at it. Mark, you are 100% right. Because of what's going on, there's no more Pac-12. And you look at college basketball, as Mark said, because of college landscape is going from the West Coast to the East. Think about it. I am a recruit, and I'm sitting here, and let's just say hypothetically, Val, this is a perfect example. I'm sitting here in a city like Nashville. Now, Nashville is a beautiful city. Don't get me wrong, of course. I'm here living in it, right?
Okay.
Right up the street from Atlanta. And I'm a college recruit, and I'm in the South. And you tell me, hey, Val, I'm a coach. Hey, Valerie, I really would like to sign you to a deal. And you say, Coach Tony, what kind of cities am I going to play in if I come south? And I said, well, Val, I'm going to take you to Mississippi. I'm going to take you to Alabama, Georgia. I'm going to take you to Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. That's nice. And then you say, well, okay, but if I go sign over here with the other Coach Tony, he going to take me to New York, Chicago, DC, Philly, Miami. Which one are you likely going to sign with?
I'm going to go with the one with the more cities, and that's going to be the more money. That's going to be the more money, definitely.
The only reason why is because you pick up bigger TV markets, right?
Very much so.
The Big Ten, and what Mark was saying basically is the Big Ten, and to me, it's only going to be down to three conferences: the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big 12. I keep telling people that. But what's so good about the Big Ten is that now that we brought in 4 teams from the West, from the Pac-12, you now get the Los Angeles TV market, Val. You now get the Ohio TV market, which is at one point was the biggest TV market in the country, believe it or not. You get the Chicago TV market. You get the Philly TV market. You get the DC TV market, and you get the New York TV market. That's 6 top markets in the United States. So no matter when that child plays on TV, they're going to be seen across the country, period. And when you can say, wow, these markets are pulling in X amount of millions, if not billions of dollars, Val, would you go to the WNBA for $80,000 a year, or would you want to stay here at school and I can give you roughly about $700,000 a year?
I think I'm going to go with the higher number. I'm going to do the math.
Yeah, I'm going to pull a Martin on you. Let me say,
and Lawrence.
But make sense of it. You know, this is why you and I talked, and Mark was talking a few weeks ago when we were talking about that, Mark, with the LeBron James situation with the money. And this is why I was saying, I'm glad, by the way, congratulations, in last week's draft, LeBron James went 55 and went back to LA, and, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But to me, the journey that he's going to take to get to the league, I would have rather have seen him set back at USC, playing and making $13 million a year, which is what he was making with USC between Nike, the Beats, and another sponsorship he had. And 3 years from now, making sure his heart's good, making sure he's healthy. If he then can go to the league as a junior, right, because he's only 2 years removed, because he's a freshman, he got 2 more years. Now he's entering the NBA with somewhere around $40 million in his pocket, period. So, and I get to test my body, kind of like what Hamlin did with Buffalo Bills when he had that acute, hit in the football field and almost killed him. and you don't know what God's got in store. No one has seen LeBron James Jr. push past 20 minutes, Val, in a basketball court.
I
That's
saw
going to
that.
be the key.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I was really checking things out to see exactly what was going to happen with Bronny James. And they said now that this is going to be the first time that I guess a father-son combo will be playing in the NBA.
It's happened in baseball with Ken Griffey Jr. and so forth and so on, him and his dad and a couple other people. But in terms of the NBA, it's the first. And that's why LeBron just opted out of his contract, which is kind of interesting to me. He opted out of his current contract. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's doing it for a better deal to stay in LA, or if he's doing it because now he knows LeBron's with the Lakers and he's going to get out. I don't know. We will all see over the next few months. But it's going to be interesting, Val, because it's made for TV. Me personally, this is my personal opinion, nothing I want to talk about. That's why we got the podcast here to discuss it. I don't think that you're going to see that young man on an NBA court anytime soon. I don't think that you will see him with the Lakers this year. I think that they're going to put him down in the G League to bring him up slowly. I think they're going to, get some more weight, some more muscle on him. And here's what I personally think about. I think it's all a ploy because no one's talking about his little brother, who is really, really good, who is a junior right now. I think that what you're going to see is that they're going to put LeBron James Jr. down in the G League, and they're going to work him out over the next year or two, at least another year. And then he'll come up the year before his little brother goes into college. And now you got the possibility of, if LeBron James Sr., which I don't think he will, can make it another 2 or 3 years. I don't think he will. But now you got a situation where then LeBron's probably going to go into coaching game on a bench, and he's going to negotiate both of his sons playing together on the same NBA team. That's my prediction. It is it's July 1st, 2024. You heard it here. Coach Tony on a Pull-Up Podcast show.
Well, it can happen, and I know it's probably making LeBron really proud to know that his both of his sons are going to be good and great in basketball, because I think that's any man's dream for his son to follow through or to follow what he loves to do, and it's interesting to see that. But his health is what's going to be, I guess, most watched. It has to be watched, because for myself, I'm thinking like a mother, like, I don't really care about the game. I want you to be well. I want you to be well. And I don't want you to fall out playing a game that you love, because I'd rather you be here than to do all of that. But I'm going to watch.
You really don't need the money.
Oh my God. Thank you.
That'd be different. That'd be different if you as my auntie or my mama taking care of me and you really needed the money. You really don't need that money. It's something else. LeBron's keep telling people it's not about the money, so I get it. The crazy part about it too, Val, is that you said something that's kind of interesting out there, in the fact of the matter that, with the changes that's coming about and the things that are going on, what's to look upon now? What's going to be the real look? You talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese getting hit? You wait to see when they put LeBron James Jr. on this court. They're going to come at him. They're going to, that's the hard part about it. And I hate it, because they're going to come at him, and there's nothing that LeBron can physically do. And I don't mean come at him in a negative way of knocking him down. He'll get his share of bumps and bruises. But I'm talking about he's going to get put on the toughest assignments every night, night in and night out, having to guard these guys in the G League, G League and the NBA throughout his career, and so that he could make it. But again, Val, you're looking at a situation where I love it. Now, I had a deep conversation with somebody at home this weekend, and they were, oh man, LeBron James, I can't believe this and that, and woo woo woo, and blah blah blah. They were going off about the scenario, and then I broke it down to them like this. You tell me what you think. I said,
okay,
you're my auntie, right? And you own an accounting firm, right?
Okay. Okay,
And you
right.
got a successful accounting firm that's making $2 million a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Got
you're
you.
the
Got you.
first accountant in the family. Okay.
Okay.
But you got a little old with the business. You ready to get out the business. And I'm young, but I'm in college. And you see that I'm coming up, but I'm 19
Mhm.
years old. And you say, baby, get that degree. At 21, I'm gonna turn the business over to you. And at 21 years old, I get that degree and walk across stage and you there. And you hold up your end of the bargain. And you then put me on as your nephew. And now I come out of college managing a $2 to $3 million accounting firm. Is that wrong from you?
No,
Okay.
I
Is
don't
it
think
also
so.
wrong for you that you're an actor? And I want to be an actor like you, like my auntie. And you get me in some roles as a child. And all of a sudden I become a young 14, 15, 16-year-old actor and a superstar. Is that wrong?
I don't think so.
Okay. Now
Maybe.
you're a singer and you see that I can
Okay.
rap or play a instrument or something like that. And you then put me on, I become a musician or a singer entertainer at 15, 16, 17 years old. Is that wrong?
You might be too young.
Nah.
I don't
I
know.
see
Nah.
plenty of these rappers come in. But the point is, how the hell are you gonna be mad at LeBron James for putting Lil Bronny? If that was my son, Lil Tony, hell yeah, I'm putting him on too. You know what I'm saying? If I can do it, I'm gonna do it. And I applaud LeBron James for being one of the best salespeople that you can be. He's been selling LeBron James Jr., Val, for years. He's been telling people shit since this kid's been a freshman. Bad boy, better. The only person I've seen do this, and it ended up backfiring, was the Mello brothers, they dad. You know, when all the
Okay.
balls.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I remember that.
they
Unfortunately,
had the
yeah.
reality show and they did all this and that. And man, he talked about the NBA and Michael Jordan sucked. And the boys had a decent run. And now everyone's out of the NBA except for Lil Melo, which I think he's the best kid of them all. LeBron James, what I liked about it, has stayed relatively quiet. The only thing he's
Yeah.
been basically been telling you is that this kid will be an NBA player. That's all he said. He hadn't hyped him up. He hasn't. And to tell the truth, the biggest mouth of the South has been basically the agent in Rich Paul, which is like Lil Bronny's uncle. So he's got the
Okay.
best agent, and he's basically told the NBA on draft night, Val, do not draft him. There's only two teams he worked out for. Do not draft him: Phoenix and the Lakers. If anyone else drafts him, I'm sending him to Australia. How did you like those demands in front of you on draft night?
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are that's something you would pay attention to. Yes. Oh
Yes,
my
you pay
gosh.
attention to that. So that's basically saying this is where I'm driving my son to play. Either these two teams or don't talk to me. And so the Lakers pick him up, and and Rob Pelinka did what he had to do. But again, Stephen A. Smith and those guys, was applauding the situation. But again, I personally think, in my personal opinion as a sports, analyst, that kid right there is probably 18 to 24 months away from being or stepping on an NBA floor. I think that you will see him, go to the G League. Now, here's the fallout of that, Val.
Okay.
If he does make the NBA roster with the Lakers,
Okay.
in my personal opinion, even though I don't like the pick with JJ Redick as coach of the Lakers, I thought they should have gave it to my homeboy, which I love dearly, and I actually know him, Sammy Cassell. I think Sam
Okay.
Cassell deserved their head coaching job, but that's another day, another story. But if they gave it to JJ Redick, and I think that LeBron James understands what JJ Redick went through. It took JJ Redick about 5 to 6 years to land a solid contract in the NBA with the Los Angeles Clippers and going to the Orlando Magic. So I think that in terms of a coach and situation, he couldn't have landed at a better position, Val, because JJ Redick and him is about the same height, same size, give or take different shooting skills and athleticism. But if anyone knows how hard it takes to make an NBA roster, it would be JJ Redick. So I think that situation, LeBron James knew it. And I think I applaud LeBron for getting his son in the best situation.
JJ Redick is a former
Duke Blue
former
Devil.
player.
Yep. Duke Blue Devil. One all-time leading scorers in NCAA history in men, of which Caitlin Clark broke his record.
Wow. And he's only 40 years old, JJ Redick.
Correct. 40 years old. And here's what pisses me off and pisses everybody off. Sammy Cassell, four-time NBA MVP, two-time NBA ring, got a championship ring on his hand, multiple All-Stars and everything else, coaching and all that from the sideline, and they didn't even give him the job. JJ Redick has no high school experience, not even AAU team experience like myself in 20 years on both sides of the house, college and AAU. He never coached college basketball, not even been an assistant on a college bench, and he's never been an assistant, not even in the league. He's only had a podcast show and been on ESPN. And he's now the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Tell him how it is, Coach Tony.
When did that happen? When things ended?
It happened when you close your eyes.
You mean it happened when I closed my eyes? Okay, so wait, let me make sure I got. Okay, so this gentleman right here, JJ Redick, is the one who's now the
yeah.
And he's never coached. He's never coached. Right, he's never coached a high school, college.
Never coached high school, college, AAU, nothing. He finished his career. Finished his career and he became an analyst on ESPN.
His career, college career, or did he play for the NBA?
He played in the NBA. Yeah, he finished his NBA career. He ended up having, I think, 14, 15 years in the league, but it took him 6 or 7 years to just make it. In other words, he was bouncing for that first 2 contracts just to make it. He was living out of a suitcase, as they say.
Okay. So do you think I don't know what he would bring to the Lakers at this point. I don't,
Here's what he's bringing to the Lakers. He's got a podcast that he's got. And the podcast is focused on one person, which is LeBron James. He got a pretty unique podcast. He created a podcast where he sits down basically and picks the mind of one of the best NBA players in the game, and that of LeBron James. And he talks to LeBron about the evolution of basketball, broken down, play by play, so forth and so on. Because of that, he and LeBron built up a great relationship, Val. Like you and I.
Redick and LeBron.
Yes, Redick and LeBron. So doing that whole thing, the Lakers weren't doing good with Darvin Ham at the head. So they kind of let him go. And once they let him go, some changes went about. All of a sudden, they were trying to get Danny Hurley from University of Connecticut. But once he interviewed, he was younger than JJ Redick. He was like, "Boo, this is the NBA. They offered him about $100 million." He turned it down to go back to Connecticut because he said, "Man, I don't want to smoke." But JJ Redick is building this behind the scenes podcast relationship with LeBron James, and LeBron's kind of milking him and telling me this is what we do. So he's almost breaking down offenses, defenses, the stats, the players, who's doing what, where, when, and why, and almost telling this kid right here, here's the formula that we need if the Lakers are going to get back to be a championship type caliber team. So when Danny Hurley turned the job down 2 weeks ago, the only choice in line was between my boy Sammy Cassell and JJ Redick. Sammy Cassell came in with a resume like Oprah Winfrey. He came in with a resume, like Don Lemon. You know what I'm saying? Good resume, but it ain't Oprah's resume. So I'm like, okay, we looking at this, and then the world just went up in disbelief because they couldn't believe it. Again, another young African American coach gets turned down for a job opportunity. Not that he shouldn't have been, but he deserved it.
Okay, well, some comments in the chat. Mark's been very busy. number
Mark, I
one,
want to see what he said.
yeah, yeah. So right here, I'm gonna go all the way back. It's his birthday, so we want
Hey,
to
what's
number
up,
one
Mark?
say
Happy birthday
thank
to you, my brother.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Thank you so very much. And of course, King Wise is in the building, wishing him a happy birthday as well. But this was something that he said that I didn't realize. I don't know if this is true or not. Reddick is in trouble for the racist statements he supposedly made while at Duke. He has
Yeah,
no coaching experience.
so
Oh,
there's a young lady that came about, and
oh,
she is
no.
already graduated. It's supposedly happened about I would say about 19 years ago. And the young lady said that while she was doing something, the JJ Redick, called her the N-word. She had never been called the N-word in her life, and she turned around. She couldn't believe it was JJ Redick. Obviously, he denied it, said he's never did that, never called anybody. He don't even know why the young lady is saying it about him just because he got the job as a Laker. So they're doing a little investigation, but Val, you know how that's going to go. That's going to get swept up under the rug just like some dust.
So, but here's the thing. I think it's ironic. He leveraged his proximity to LeBron being on this podcast show to end up now becoming a coach on the team that LeBron is still on, because LeBron did not retire. He's still going to be coming back this following year. He'll be 39 coming up.
He opted out of his contract, and he still hadn't signed it yet. But again, it was a ploy to hey, say either I'm going someplace else and taking my son, or you can bring him on board, then I'll redo a new contract. So it was a great move. And oh, by the way, if I come back, I'm gonna need JJ Redick as the coach. So it's kind of like now he's got a puppet. He's got a puppet, in my personal opinion, in JJ Redick, and he's also got a situation, And when I say puppet, I don't mean like LeBron's gonna have him on a string. When I say puppet, I mean that he's got a yes man. He's got somebody that I'm sure after the games they're gonna have their personal phone call, Val, like you and I do, and they're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And with that conversation, as the next practice and the next game goes on, LeBron James is going to be able to tell whether or not JJ Redick, listened to him or did not listen to him. And it could be a good situation if he does, and JJ can be stuck in a great situation with the Lakers for years to come. Or if he's not listening to him, he could be in one and done real quick, like kind of what they did with him.
Oh my gosh. But the question from earlier, and I want you to talk about this a little bit as I just wanted to joke around and put this up here and say we are officially in overtime. Our quarters are up. We're officially in overtime.
You're gonna get it.
Yeah. So I'm about to create something that says overtime because I'm trying to wrap this up. Let us know about Rise and what you do for our athletes.
Well, Val, it's been very unique having the opportunity. We've had some of my athletes on here with Brooke Gillian, Noah Williams. And by the way, Val, I didn't tell you. Whoop to my nephew, Noah Williams. We got to get him back on. He is now re-signed as a grad with James Madison University down south. And he's left Seattle, Washington. He's headed to the South to play for one more season, and I'm very, very proud of him. Also, Wimbledon is on right now. We know our girl is doing very well, and Miss Malika Chinyeri out west Denver area. So basically what the Rise is we make sure that with the agency as a sports marketing agency, is that we reach out to brands and those brands that are looking for athletes to try to help them extend the brand, more awareness to the brand, and bring a more bottom dollar to the brand. And they want these young athletes to help represent them. We match those brands up with the athletes that are looking for opportunities to do things like that outside of their respective sports. So if you really want to know more, or if you have someone that you know that's in position that has a name, like I picked up a baseball player today, Val, out of nowhere. Mom was talking to me about it. I'm now discussing with them. But reach out to The Rise, RIZENIL.com, and learn more about that. And reach out to me on my social media is at Chillman, CHILLLMAN 7. And then, of course, you got everything else to get in touch with me, and we can discuss that.
And that is The Rise, not just Rise NIL, right?
Right, The Rise, like the Ohio State University is The Rise NIL.
Okay, all right. So let's make sure we get that correct. Is that putting it up here now? Is that correct?
Yes, TheRiseNIL.com. Yes.
Okay. There we go. It's better. Okay, that's the right one. The
There you go.
Rise NIL, and which stands for name, image, and likeness. So this
That's
is
correct.
why I miss Mr. Springer. Man, oh man, this has been a phenomenal situation, chit-chatting about it. And of course, on tomorrow, we're still in celebrations with our 4th anniversary of the Interludes podcast. And of course, tomorrow will be the book cover reveal of A DJ Saved My Life on tomorrow.
Well, I'm definitely dropping the, if I don't do nothing but drop the instrumental. Last night, a DJ saved my life. We got to drop the instrumental. At least the instrumental got to be played, man.
I'm working on licensing the song for promotional purposes only of it. But like I said, I'm very excited about it. But like I said, 4th anniversary of the Interludes podcast. And of course, we're coming back with a brand new season. And this is the audio side, but we're going to start recording that live like we do here. And I have some great guests coming up, a couple of authors, and I've met a slew of podcasters at this thing called the Empowered Podcasting Conference.
Oh, man, I was very proud of you
Yeah.
by the way. That was real cool going down there and talking about it, man. That was good.
Exactly. Talking about the Pull Up Podcast show, and I have my t-shirt on and everything. So every Monday, whether, you know, Coach is, we do our thing, and I get so educated, not only by you, Coach, but definitely by others as well. And of course, Mark is closing out. Send your baseball player to the Durham Bulls. We got a lot of players into the show. Okay. Woo woo.
Okay.
We got more fans.
I like that, Mark. You know, holler at me, Mark. Let's talk about it. And also, I was going to tell you real quick as well, on the same Twister thing, is as you guys continue to pull up on me here on the Pull Up Podcast show, these next few weeks are going to be hot. We're going to take a little hiatus in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to bring on, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but we're going to bring on an NFL guest, a big time NFL guest coming up as my next guest on the show. And then before we come down for a few weeks so I can get my voice back together, you know, like it's like the singer, we're going to have a fan appreciation night. Val and I have been talking about it. And Mark, I want to make sure you definitely going to be on here. We're going to have some live guests, and we'll tell you the details if you're interested in doing that. And we're going to bring about 4 or 5 people on that night. And you're going to be in the audience with me talking sports. And I want to hear your opinion on things. So we appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone tuning in to the Pull Up Podcast show with the one and only Coach Tony. Again, share us, like us, more important, subscribe to the show.
And it was fun being your co-host on today. And so that's been fun as we go into a little bit of overtime. Yes.
Hey, hey, Val, we like overtime. You know why?
Why?
So that means it was a good game.
Exactly.
Hey, and on that note,
pull up. We're out. We'll see you tomorrow.
see you.
Peace.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know.